used to bag work about an apartment 5B.
You're now tuned into the Apartment 5B podcast, where we chop it up about hip-hop, R&B, sports, love and life. Hosted by Kill.
What's good? You two on Apartment 5B podcast, hosted by your man, Kel. I got my squad in effect with us today. Ladies first, Porsche, what's good, miss?
How's it going, Kel?
Everything is good. Vince, what's going on, fam?
Hey, what's happening, Kel? What's up, y'all?
Everything is good. Nick, what's good?
What's going on, bro?
Sorry I couldn't link up with you last week. Obviously, I don't know if Cincinnati is not Cleveland. But at a restaurant.
This where you at?
I'm at a restaurant and I'm like, yo, I'm gonna order a pizza since I'm in Chicago. Niggas like, you in Cleveland, my nigga. Like, I don't know. I don't know. EJ Rec One, what's going on, fam?
What's going on, man? I feel good to be back, man.
No doubt, good to have you back, man. You already know what it is. Let's jump right into it. Got into a conversation a couple of weeks ago with my young boy about the golden era. So we were just talking about the golden era, and then he was like, yeah, since the 90s is the golden era. And I was like, well, my nigga, I'm really kind of pro 80s with the golden era. But I understand definitely that the golden era is going to be individualized based off of the time of hip-hop that raised you. So today we're going to be chopping it up about the 90s, 92 to 96 in general for those years. We're going to be talking about which was the most important year out of those years, the top 3 albums from that year, and then from that time period from 92 to 96, what was the most important MC or group for that time, and what was the most important album. So, but first we're going to chop it up about eras and golden eras and all that, because everybody may not be 90s or 80s or whatever. So DJ Rec One, starting with you, what would you say is your golden era for hip-hop?
My golden era is 92 to 96. Okay. Maybe 93, 97, depending on where you're looking at, where certain albums drop. But like between those, like that 4-year span, I was in high school. I was my 9th to senior year in high school. So that literally raised me within hip hop as far as just, you know, knowing who was doing what, knowing what albums to go and buy. At that time, I had really just started DJing too. So it helped that was the 4-year time span that those albums came out, because I was heavy, still am, but I was seriously heavy in the digging, finding out what was new. Like my ear was to the street super hard. So for me, it's 92 to 96.
All right, so this show is perfect for you then.
Yeah, it's perfect for me. I got a couple joints lined up.
All right, no doubt. Nick, what about you, man?
Yeah, I would, for me, probably 93 to 97, because like those were my high school years. So that's when I was like really collecting music, like, you know, on my own taste and stuff. So I would say 93 to 97 for me.
All right, no doubt. What about you, Porsche?
For me, it's 93 to 98.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's the same reason as everybody else. I mean, that's when I started really getting into hip hop, and then, you know, getting all the albums and waiting for CDs to drop and things like that. So definitely 93 to 98.
All right, what about you, Jens?
Man, just real. That's my boy. What's up, man?
Yeah.
It's my first time seeing him. I'm just seeing his name pop up.
You ain't get a chance to see him.
Well, look, this is my golden era stretches from 86 to 96. I'll take it that far.
Damn,
I'm
Jens.
one of the older.
Jens said, "Give me 10 years."
Like my golden era is like 79 and 99. Years. Yeah, give me like 4 years, man. Give me like something.
I'll go 87 to 90.
All right, 87 to 90. I feel that. And mine is 85 to 89. 85, I'm in the 6th grade, but that's like when I really started getting into hip hop and everything like that. So we're gonna be doing an 80s show later on, but saluting the 90s. DJ Rec One.
What's up?
We looking at 92, 93, 94, 95, and 96. Now let me run down some joints. 92, The Chronic Drop, In God We Trust, Brand Nubians, Daily Operation, Gangstar, What, Redman, Stunts, Blunts, and Hip Hop's Diamond D, Bizarre Ride to the Far Side, Check Your Head, Beastie Boys, Mecca and the Soul Brother, Runaway Slaves, Showbiz and AG, They're Serious, Das Effects, Gorillas in the Mist, The Lynch Mob, Business Never Personal, EPMD, The Predator, Ice Cube, Blue Funk, Heavy D, Real to Real, Grand Poobah, Shorty the Pimp, Too Short, Skills, Bills, Positive K, Sexual Violence, BDP,
Spice One.
Spice One, Can I Borrow a Dollar by Common, House of Pain. That's 92. 93, we got Into the Woo, Midnight Marauders, Doggy Style, Balloon Mind State, Into the Stage, Return of the Boom Bat, Intoxicated Demons, Back the Fuck Up, The Four Horsemen, Ultramagnetic, the Trifling album King T, 21 and Over, Alcoholics, 93 Till Infinity, Slaughterhouse, Master Ace, The World Is Yours, Scarface, Till Death Do Us Part, Ghetto Boys, Vagina Diner, Akinelli, Organics, The Roots. 94, of course, we got Illmatic, Ready to Die, Southern Playalistics, The Sunrise in the East, The Beatnuts, Resurrection, 6 Feet Deep, The Gravediggers, Stress, Organized Confusion, Hard to Earn, Gangstar, Takal, Do You Want More, The Diary, Scarface, There's a Dark Side, Redman. We got 95, Only Built for Cuban Links, The Infamous, Liquid Swords, Return to the 36, Coast to Coast, Soul Food, Me Against the World, Pac, Living Proof, Group Home, The Shiner, Smith & Wesson, KRS, Dog Food, The Dog Pound, 2000, Grand Poobah, Jealous One, Still Envy, Fat Joe, and then 96, Reasonable Doubt, Iron Man, Hell on Earth, 80 Aliens, The Score, Muddy Waters, Firing Squad, Stakes is High, Machiavelli, Enigma, Keith Murray, All Eyes on Me, Pac, The Coming Buster, Ran for the Math, Philadelphia Half-Life, Hardcore.
Forget the Lil' Kim joint. Hardcore is still a classic. I don't care what nobody's saying.
Nocturnal, Helter Skelter, The Resurrection, Ghetto Boys, and Speed of Light Exhibit. So that's just some of the joints that dropped those years. So, Rec, out of those years, which one do you think is the most important, and why, and what are your 3 albums from that year?
All right, so it's not necessarily a year. It's going to be more like a fiscal year because these albums dropped within a year time span of each other within those 4 years. I'm going the winter of 94 to the winter of 95 as far as like, I want to say December to like January, February, March time frame. You had, I think it was J-Roo dropped, There's a Dark Side dropped, Smith & Wesson, not the Alcoholics, but the Roots dropped, Mob dropped, like all these records dropped all within like a 6-month time span, and it was all dark. And you know, you know how it is, Kill, being up from up north, you got that East Coast winter. It just had that feel. You want me to give you an album from that time span?
Yeah,
from those years?
What are the top 3 albums from those joints that you were naming? What are your
top? Right, cool, not a problem. The Shining, that's just classic boot camp to me. Black Moon put it one place, but Smith & Wesson took it somewhere totally different. Hard to Earn for me was pure adrenaline classic. I love it to this day. And I'm going with I'm gonna have to go with Southern Playalistic.
Okay.
That album, I had never heard nothing like it before in my life, man. I knew what it was from the gate, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna be tight. I don't know who these cats are, but I like them. I'm going with those 3 albums, man.
All right, no doubt. Nick, out of those years, what's the year you got, and what are your 3 albums?
Yeah, 94. I'm gonna go with 94 and Outkast, Southern Playalistic for obvious reasons. Hometown Heroes, they brought respect to MCs in Atlanta. I would say, and you said the 3 most important. It sounds kind of the easy way out. Outkast, Nas, Illmatic, Biggie, Ready to Die. Okay. 94, like if you look at all these other years, 94, those 3 became legends. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the other years. I can't really say that about debut albums from, great debut albums from legendary artists, who went on to be legends. So I'm gonna say 94, Cass, Biggie, Nas.
All right, no doubt. Porsche, what you got?
So I'm kind of split on this because for me, I don't know. There's a couple. 93, because 93 is very important to me, like in my opinion, because that's when sort of like 36 Chambers dropped, and then there was like Midnight Marauders, and those are classic albums. I mean, at least I think so. And I feel like that sort of laid the foundation for what 94 brought, if that makes sense. So Wu brought some like element of grime, grit, hardcore like sounds that we really didn't hear prior to that. And then I think with what they did, 94 sort of was able to build on that and then some. So for me, 93 is critical, I think, but 94 is what I think would be like the year out of the golden era. And obviously the top 3 albums, like Nick said them, Illmatic for obvious reasons, Ready to Die, Big's my favorite MC, and that's just the best album to me, one of them anyways. And yeah, like that's obvious reasons, really.
All right. No.
Now, so we go personal though for 94. We're talking Game So Hard to Earn. I'll still stick with Kaz, but I'm gonna throw in Pete and CL.
Yeah, see, for me, my personal is different. I got There Is a Dark Side. I play that album to this day.
Yeah.
I said personal just because, I mean, it would have to be Illmatic across the board. Like you can't, we can't take that away. So I had to. That's why I didn't mean to like.
Oh no,
go backtrack.
No, okay.
I just meant Illmatic, and then on top of that, my personal ones that I think are like, you can't go wrong with them. Ready to Die, like that's definitely one, and then There Is a Dark Side for sure too.
All right, no doubt. I'm gonna come back. I got a question for y'all, but I'm gonna get to Vince, and then we're gonna come back. It's a devil advocate type question. Vince, what's yours, man?
All right, I'm gonna go with 1992. In the 3 albums I got, Mech and the Soul Brother, Daily Operation, and Stunts, Blunts, and Hip Hop. Mech and the Soul Brother, I think that's the best produced album.
Agreed.
For me, I think that's a flawless album. There's nothing I would do to change that album. There's nothing I skip on that album. So that's got to be on there. Daily Operation, I mean, it's sort of the same thing. I mean, Gangstar, Guru, Premier, you can't go wrong with that. And Stunts, Blunts, and Hip Hop, I mean, Diamond, that's one of the best producer / MCs that we know. So that's the 3 I'll go with for 1992.
All right, no doubt. And I'm with you on that, Vince, with 92. And it was crazy because I was sitting here just like trying to look at all the albums and count up. And 96 actually had more albums that I liked, you know what I mean? But I felt like 92, just with the Chronic, #1 being on it, you know, because that kind of like changed the whole game of everything, in my opinion. Because before the Chronic, wasn't nobody even getting high in hip hop, you know what I mean? Like, if no other reason than that, like, you know, after the Chronic, it was just like everybody was getting high. It's like weed didn't exist before.
But you know what? You know the sad thing about that, Cypress Hill don't get credit because their album came out the previous year.
Right.
Yeah.
It just didn't blow up because they was talking about it all over that album.
Yeah, they're notorious.
Yeah, they were cannabis out in that album.
You know, what the part is, I think Dre I think between the visuals, you know what I mean, and Snoop, and it's just like, you know, be real. Because for years, I thought they was from Brooklyn because there's a Cypress Hill in Brooklyn. So when
I thought they was from New York too.
I thought they was from Brooklyn, so I had no idea that they was even out there like that. The second album I'm gonna go with is Dead Serious by Das, just because they brought in a whole style and everybody bit, you know, the whole Diggity, you know, Common's whole album, Common's whole album sounded like that. They and just I remember at that time I was just like, yo, I've never. But it's funny when you listen back to it now. Not that it's not dope, but some of the shit they were saying, I just be like, yo, I love these days where you could talk about dumb shit like playing tic-tac-toe and and nobody's saying nothing about that. Like, that was the shit back then. And then I got to go with what? Redman's out. Because I remember my OG Walt, he used to mess with this chick who worked at the Source, and he was like, yo, EPMD got this new dude coming out called Redman. And I was like, yo, they can't be better than Das Effects. That nigga was like, nigga, just wait. And then I heard what was it, Blow Your Mind?
Blow Your Mind.
And then I think for 92, this was my freshman year at Morgan State. So, I mean, this is just everybody, you know, the meeting of the minds, Jersey, New York, Philly, DC, everybody just in Baltimore, lasting all this stuff. So I'm going to go with that for 92. But let me ask y'all a question. And it's almost sacrilegious to say this. All right. Try and work with me.
Say it anyway. I see the smile.
Well, and it may be my age too, because I'm 44. But, and I'm not saying I don't agree with this, but why was Illmatic so important to hip hop? And I'm not trying to say that being a smart ass, but I'm like, yo, I love Illmatic, 5 mics, all those great things. But like, you know, I don't even know if Illmatic cracks my top 5 best hip hop albums of all time. You know,
it's not even.
You know, so
my top 10.
Yeah, and for most circles, that's sacrilegious. There's people right now throwing shit at the screen when they. I'm just wondering because, you know, Porsche, you sent out a tweet the other week, and it was something. I was like, well, everybody's gonna say it. So you know,
oh yeah, it was the rank one.
It's like it's better to rank these based off of which one, because I mean everybody's gonna pick Illmatic. But why, like Rec, why do you think Illmatic was so important to hip hop? And here's a better question: do you think it's that important to hip hop?
Do I think it's that what now? It's important.
Illmatic is that like capitalize that important to hip hop. I'm not saying like I just feel like some days it's like, yo, if Illmatic didn't exist, hip hop would fucking still be niggas rapping like that. Like, it really fucking wouldn't, in my opinion. But do you think it was that important? Like if Illmatic was just wiped off the face of the earth, like hip hop is this fucking, you know, the zombie apocalypse or something?
No, I don't think that. I mean, I think it was a very important album for hip hop. You needed it. It was one of those changing in the guard type albums, as far as from a lyricist standpoint, or somebody maybe, I don't even want to say passing the torch, because I never really saw Rakim passing the torch or KRS-One giving a torch. I saw it more so as like a fuck ton of producers saying this kid is the next guy, and we're going to jump on board and we're going to give him all our best shit, and we're going to come with this cohesive effort to make this, you know, quality album. I don't think people thought it was going to be what it has turned out to be. I don't. But I think for what Illmatic is and was in the spring of what, 93, 90, we wasn't hearing nothing like that. We wasn't. I remember motherfuckers sneaking, leaving school to go to the record store to go buy this album. I guess the mystique behind it too, as far as what was it gonna be. He killed the guest verses he was on, but people just took it and ran with it. It was almost like with this whole free agency shit, you know, it just took a lore of its own and just got ran over by, you know, the album. I'm glad the album, you know, gave what it should have. I'm glad that it actually, you know, came through, because it had been a trash album, it'd have been some shit. But I think that if we didn't have Illmatic, somebody still would have came down the pipeline and changed the game from a standpoint of lyricism and just, you know, that quote unquote perfect album. I think that's more so where everybody starts to talk about. They call it the perfect album.
And here's the thing: was it really fucking perfect?
No. You know, represent for me is the one song I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. That's the one song. Everything else I can listen to that album straight through, but when Represent come on, I'm cool. It don't matter if it's the premiere remix. I don't gotta hear the original. I don't gotta hear none of that. When Represent come on, no, I'm cool. I go right to the next song.
All right, what about you, Nick? What you think?
I think it was the source, man. Like the source was so. They didn't call it the Bible for nothing, man. It's like, how many albums had 5 mics up to that point? That was like the first album that got 5.
Yeah, that might have been. That might have been. I don't remember.
It was before my time. So that was the first album. It was like, yo, 5 mics, perfect album, you know, classic. And, you know, being from the South, I'm not in New York, so I don't know what Nas buzz was, because in the South, it wasn't no buzz for Nas. Like, okay, Nas, okay. But I think the source played a big part in that, because like Rex said, the album isn't perfect. Me, I'm the opposite. I like Represent. I skip One Time for Your Mind. That's the one I'm like,
yeah.
I might have to hear that one. I mean, it's a great album. It's a classic, but I don't even think it went gold until like 5 years after it came out. You know what I mean? And
Right.
people blame bootlegging, but I mean, other albums got bootlegged and still went gold and platinum. So,
Right.
you know.
All right, what about you, Porsche?
I think Illmatic. Well, Illmatic isn't it's not one of my favorite albums. Like, I never rank it on my personal list, and I don't think it's Nas's best album to me. I like it was written better than Illmatic personally, but I do think that Illmatic is important, and I think it's important. I kind of agree with Nick. I think the Source played a part in it. I don't think it played that big of a part in it. Maybe I'm wrong or naive. I just think that what it had was, for Nas's age coming out, like, he was pretty young at the time. He was coming in with like storytelling that I don't know if it was ever heard that way. Like, with these producers, I agree with Rec, like the producers did do their best, and did make it their best work. So that really helped. But yeah, I mean, I kind of see the hype around it. It was very much a, I don't know how to call it, like a foundational album that everyone sort of built on and tried to replicate. And it did set a standard. It set a quality standard. It set a lyrical standard. So, and I don't think that Source played a part in that. I think that was just people listening to what Nas was saying lyrically, and then thinking back, like, people were able to connect with it. People, especially people in New York, I'm assuming, I'm not from New York, but I'm assuming people in New York were like, yeah, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm going through. This is what, like, I can totally connect to this. And I think that's what made this so acclaimed, personally, but I don't know. That's just my opinion.
All right, what about you, Vince?
I think Illmatic is definitely one of the better albums to ever come out. The thing about Nas for me is, when Nas first came out, you just had, I think it was just Live at the Barbecue. That's all anybody ever knew about Nas.
You had back to the Grill with us.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like you heard something, and then it was a long stretch between. Because even the Zebrahead thing, there was a stretch between all of that. So Nas kind of had like a little mystique that was built on it. And another thing too, as far as Nas goes, the very first time I heard Nas, I thought G-Rap. I didn't think nothing of. I didn't compare him to Rakim like a lot of people do. I heard G-Rap when I first.
Yeah,
heard
he is more G-Rap.
So
yeah,
but I mean, like everybody's saying, yeah, it's definitely a great album. Do I think it's the greatest album ever made? No. I already said Mecca and the Soul Brothers. But anyway, as far as the Source, I could kind of see that, because once you kind of get a little buzz building and all you seeing is something about Nas here and there, people start, well, let me check this out. And then next thing you know, oh shit, man, you heard that Nas, blah, blah, blah. And then that snowball starts. But I mean, that don't take anything away from it. It was massively done. Everybody who contributed, like Rex said, some of their best production. He got all of that, and he handled it. He, at that young age, he was lyrically adept. He was in there with the big boys, so to speak. And so, I mean, he earned that spot. Now, as we continued on through his career, that Illmatic is kind of what he's standing on, because for me, Illmatic's the best one, and then everything else just kind of, like if you throw a deck of cards on the floor, that's what it feels like for me. Illmatic's his best, period. So that's my little thing.
Right. I say that's another thing. So if you take Illmatic out of Nas' catalog, where does he stand? Like, will people hold him as high as they do now?
I think they would as an MC now, as far as albums, maybe not, but I mean, there's no doubt the dude is talented as an MC. You can't. There's no way to take that away from him, even without Illmatic. I think he would have still. I mean, all of the albums, all are very good lyrically. It's just that you don't have that Illmatic production.
Right.
I almost feel like you take Illmatic out of the clip, that nigga's like a mere mortal. Like, you know, he's a regular MC. Like, Illmatic,
and you get Stillmatic is like a classic joint.
Right. And the funny thing is, and the reason I asked that was just because, you know, when the next part of the whole question is, you know, during that time period, what was the most important album? And while I'm like sitting here looking at mine, I'm like, I know everybody's gonna say Illmatic, and it just hit me like, why? You know, and it's almost like I agree with literally everything everybody said. I agree with Nick, it being the source, like you just getting this hype. I remember the source. It was Gangsta on the cover on the train, and that was the source with the 5 migrating for Nas, and they had the whole breakdown with Nas, and you know, it's and then again, I'm not taking anything away from Illmatic, nothing like that. Like I said, maybe it's my age. I mean, I got It Takes a Nation of a Millions over this album. I got fucking Ultramagnetic's Critical Beatdown over this album. And again, it's not shitting on Illmatic. It's just,
but age, like you said, age plays a part.
Yeah,
my older heads feel the same way about Illmatic.
Yeah, and I mean, even when I look at it, it's like it's 10 songs. The Genesis ain't shit. Halftime we already fucking heard. To me, it was New York State of Mind, The World Is Yours, One Love, and Represent for me. Those was the shits I love, because even when Life's a Bitch first came out, I loved AZ's part, but I'm sitting here like, yo, these motherfuckers are just rhyming over a fucking Gap Band. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I feel like if this shit said, again, produced by the Trackmasters, you know, if Trackmasters do that same track, people feel a whole different way, in my opinion, about Life's a Bitch. Even when it ain't hard to tell, I'm like, yo, this nigga singing over you, rapping over Human Nature. Again, it's dope. I'm not shitting on it, but I'm just like, So I was just wondering what Cats felt about that, because, like I said, people look at me crazy when I say Illmatic's not my top 5 of hip hop albums. Nick, I know you said it's not with yours. Porsche, what about you?
What do you? It's not in mine either.
Not in yours. What about you, Vince?
Nah, probably not. But I don't necessarily have a list, so to speak. But I don't think so. It wouldn't be top 5. No.
All right. And what about you, Rack?
It's not in my top 5. It's not in my top 5 at all.
All right.
See, my top 5, because of that, now if we talking about age, yeah, my age is gonna come into that top 5. You know what I mean? So I mean, there's been plenty of stuff that I heard before Nas that strike more with me because of where I was when I heard it, how old I was, and what it means to me to this day. So there was plenty of albums I would put before that, but that don't take away from, you know, Illmatic being really great.
Yeah, and again, that's the more. I want people to understand we're not shitting on it. For me, Run DMC's debut album, you know, in '84, when I was 10, fucked up my head much more than, you know, Illmatic did.
But see, that's the thing, Kill. A lot of people didn't understand that there was no hip hop really like that before that. So when you hear something like that, it's like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
You know?
Right. And I mean, there were what the fuck moments. I mean, when I first heard One Love, I was like, yo, this is crazy. New York State of Mind. So again, it's not taking anything away from the dopeness of those albums, but I could kind of say the same thing about The Chronic. The first time I heard nothing but a G thing, you know, I was floored. You know, the first time I heard Troy, They Reminisce Over You, I was floored. First time I heard Bucktown, I was floored. So for me, I just didn't get a different type of knockout punch from Nas with New York State of Mind than maybe what I got from fucking Bucktown or They Reminisce Over You or something like that. So just it's totally off topic, but wanted to know what y'all thought about that. So tell me
the comments of this video.
What'd you say?
I can't wait to see the comments.
Oh yeah, the comments gonna be crazy. It's gonna be, I already know. I'm gonna have to focus on already tune out by the time we get here. But tell me this. From these years of 92 to 96. Oh, you know what? One thing I wrote down now, Nick, you said for your years, one of the big things that played a part in your decisions was that they would debut albums that was so huge. Rack, what was something with your decisions that were the albums that you picked?
They spoke to me personally, man. A lot of these albums are albums that I use to get through situations or to get me mentally prepared for certain things. You know, being an athlete in high school, music is huge. That's the one thing that, you know, that's going to get you to a certain mental place to be prepared to go out on the basketball court, football field, or whatever it is you do to you know, at least play your best. And those particular albums and that particular time frame was an important time frame for me. So I think that's why I chose those albums from that time frame. they were just albums that I used to just kind of give me motivation, so to speak, you know.
All right, no doubt. And before we move on, because I know somebody's going to ask, Nick and Porsche, y'all both said Illmatic isn't your favorite Nas album. Porsche, what is your favorite Nas album and why?
It was written, and it was written what is my favorite because I just feel like I think it was there was a maturity there. What are you guys laughing about?
I'm laughing at Yintz. Yintz is over there shaking his head. I'm sorry, Porsche. Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
I'm sorry.
Yintz is a troublemaker. All good.
I know.
No, I just think that It Was Written is a more mature Nas, and I think it's a more polished album. I like it better. I like the track list better. I think there's more variation. It's still coherent. I just think that it's just a little bit more polished, a little bit more mature than Illmatic is. And for me, I just like that way more.
All right, no doubt. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I just flat out, he was a better rapper than me. If you can't listen to It Was Written and see the leap, the improvement he made just from an MC perspective from Illmatic, you have to block out Trackmaster. Just clear that name out your head. Listen to the raps. He rapping his ass off, man. A Rap Clinic, that whole album.
So I got a question. You said block out Trackmasters, right? What's the whole issue beef? These cats make quality music. Like, I don't understand what the issue is.
Yeah, because I don't have no problem with Trackmasters myself. I always thought that was funny.
I think people associate Trackmasters with R&B.
Like just the public. Yeah. Like when you say It Was Written, people say Trackmasters, polished ass, shiny beats. I'm like,
but those beats, those beats weren't all that polished. I mean, it's a couple. It's a good portion of the album that was gutter.
There's only like 2 songs I don't like, and the single, of course, because it's just like you rap it over the joint,
and you hear it so much, it's like, okay, I'm good.
Exactly. And the joint that Dr. Dre did. Outside of that, I like.
You didn't like that? You didn't like that joint? Nas is coming.
That Nas is coming with. I can deal with it. I think it's the same thing. Like Nick was saying, with the source of how we're influenced to like something. I think the Trackmasters at that time was literally like Satan to a Christian. It was like, I'm dead serious. It was like, yo, these dudes are just looping hits. You know what I mean? And to make money. I think one of them, Tone or Pope, which one would go to the club, wait for the old school set, hear what everybody got hype went, then we'll go back home, boot that up, and then it would be the joint. So it was the perfect formula. But you know, as a hip hop head, it was kind of like, yo, that's like sacrilegious, which always made me, like I said about Life's a Bitch. It's like, well, why didn't we give No Bullshit to LES? Because we all knew that song. I mean, truth be told, I understood why our parents didn't like hip hop at first, well, at least for my generation, because I didn't know that Public Enemy and the Bomb Squad was looping up James Brown, but my dad did. So they could be like, oh, they ain't nothing but the Grunt by the JBs, so. And it was like that for us. We'd be like, oh man, that ain't nothing but Upside Down by Diana Ross. Like, so really the only difference with looping was you were supposed to loop stuff that nobody knew. You know what I mean? That really was the only difference between the Trackmasters and what you would call a boom bap producer. You know what I mean? Because that was there. And when it's funny when you think about it, yo, look at Eric B. as president. They looping over like a fat rat, like Find a Ray that just came out 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
When you look at Paid in Full, don't look no further. Like, so it's weird how you can go through these little times where it's like, oh, it's cool that Rakim is rhyming over, don't look any further, but then you flip it and it's like, move forward a couple of years and it's like, nah, that ain't cool or whatever like that. But I just think that was the thing. Like I always said, if you take the Trackmasters off of that track listing, I give It Was Written a 4.5. Like on a good damn day, I don't think it'll get a 5 because I really don't like Nas Is Coming. I really don't like Affirmative Action. There's just some songs on there I really don't like. But it still gets a strong 4.5. Watch Them Niggas, The Message, I get some niggas.
Power, Take It in Blood.
Take It in Blood, the shit
live nigga rap.
Live nigga rap. Like, and even on the single, even on that, with Lauren, he's still rhyming. He's still rapping.
Yeah, he's rhyming for sure.
It's just, that joint. So, I just trying to figure that out. But, so tell me, in these years, 92 to 96, what do you think was the most important album? And what do you think, or who do you think was the most important MC or group to this era? Because Porsche, you and Nick and Rack all said that this is the golden era. So with that being said, what for that period, and I know y'all added on a couple of more years at the end, what do you think is the most important MC to this era and the most important album? What you got on it, Rack?
Most important MC
or group.
No, I'm gonna give you one of each.
Okay.
So group, it's got to be a tie. It's got to be actually, you know what? Fuck it. It don't got to be a tie.
No, I think it's only one group.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think, but I might not think that group. I see y'all over there looking like Mufasa and shit. Waiting to see what I'm gonna say. All right, so as far as a singular artist, it's gonna be in between Nas and Big. Only from a standpoint of influence after those albums dropped. It doesn't have anything to do with how I personally feel about it, but just the influence that those guys had after their albums. I'm probably gonna go with Big. Big's influence, we just don't know. But Ready to Die, people was like, okay, this is something totally different. Like it took on a whole life of its own. Illmatic, his career kind of did one of these when he came out with the It Was Written. So I'm going with Big. Now, as far as a group, man, shit. Personal speaking, or are we talking?
I mean, you could give both. Like I'm looking at, like, for instance, to me, the most important group during that era was Wu, because I feel like they spawned off. You know, they basically spawned off. I mean, you got Into the Wu. You got
so we talking influence.
Influence, and you could give your favorite too. But yeah, like the influence. I'll agree with you, but that's not who I was gonna say. I was going with Gangstar. Okay.
I was going with Gangstar as far as consistency. They released what 3 albums between that time frame? Daily Operation, Hard to Earn, and Moment of the Truth was afterwards. So it's 2. So they released one in 92 and 94. They didn't release anything in 95, 96. That's when Primo was lacing everybody else. So I'm going with Gangstar. But I see where you're going as far as the Wu-Tang Clan. Like, yeah, I get it. 9 cats, and they just did one of these and killed it. But for me, it's Gangstar.
All right. I mean, it'd be the same thing with Hoops. You know, if you say the early 90s are the most important, like, who could you take away? You take Jordan away from them 90s, the 90s, right. Same 90s. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's not my favorite player. Not my favorite player on a racket of sneakers and shorts, but that's not my favorite player. But yeah, Nick, who you got, man?
Yeah, solo, got to go with Biggie. I think Quest talked about being at the Source Award, Big winning everything, Nas slumping in his seat, you know, from the Biggie definitely impacted hip hop in a major way in that short span of time. With the album, man, like the singles and the remixes, the Who Shot You B-side, he was just killing it. So I would give it to Big as a solo artist, and like you already said, Wu-Tang as far as the group, the collective, because, man, I mean, like, 36 Chambers, Tikal, Return to the 36 Chambers,
yep.
Only Built for Cuban Links, Liquid Swords, Iron Man, all of that came out in that span.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to deny Wu's as far as a group. And as far as the best album, the most important album in that time, I would say Dr. Dre the Carnage.
All right. Are we supposed to give a best album out of that time?
Yes, sir.
Best album out of that time for me, I'm going with Cuban Links, man.
All right.
I'm going with Cuban Links.
Oh, okay. So now we're doing best album or most important? Because if we're doing best,
I was looking at it like, I looked at it like, you know, I'm always about the influence. So if this is the golden era of hip hop and this is the best time ever, it's like, what was the best album of that time? Like, if somebody's like, all right, Nick, boom, a young boy comes up to you, when should I listen to hip hop between these years and this year? What album, you know, you're gonna be like, this is, you know, like the Jordan flu game, or, you know, like what stands out to you about this time period that makes these years so incredibly dope?
I'll stay with the Carnage, man. But that's a good choice too, because everybody had aliases after the Cuban Links story. Everybody was AKA this, and yeah, hell yeah.
They had to address it numerous times.
Yeah. All right, Porsche, you got?
I got, obviously, like Nick just said everything that I was gonna say, like literally from beginning to end. So the group obviously is Wu-Tang, and the reason for that is because I think the RZA came in with a whole entire vision and plan for the Wu, and it kept them relevant for so many years after '93. And they're still relevant. People still like Wu-Tang just as much as they did before. And that's why I think they're the most influential group, or the most important group of that era. And then I have to go with Big. He's my favorite MC, and I really feel I'm a misplaced Brooklyn, like Brooklynite. So yeah, I mean, Big with his one album, I should say, he managed to just take over. Like, I don't know, that's hugely influential to me. And Ready to Die would be the most important. Like, if I was asked the question, which album should someone new listen to that would kind of embody that, I would say Ready to Die. And that's just because Big has everything. Big is like the all around great MC. He's got flow, he's got storytelling, he's got dope like bangers, he's just got everything. So Ready to Die would be the album. Although it's not Only Built for Cuban Links is my favorite album in hip hop, but I think Ready to Die would be the most important or influential of the time.
All right, no doubt. What about you?
Only Built for Cuban Links is another album I prefer over Illmatic.
Yep.
Yeah, we gonna be a lot of comments just for shit. Why? Like, so Nick and Porsche. Nick first. Why do you prefer Only Built over Illmatic?
I don't know, something about that dynamic between Ghost and Ray. They were just locked in. One of the best tandems on wax I've heard in my lifetime. The cinematic. Like RZA, that was like a score. It wasn't even like a production. It's like he scored a film, a street movie. I just can't, it was just next level. Like Illmatic, I'll give Illmatic props for setting the blueprint, but Cats were just able to make it better.
You know what? Let me challenge you on that. What blueprint did Illmatic set? And the reason why I asked that, I hear a lot of people say that, and I never really got it. Like, outside of, like, it almost like being like, hey, everybody, look, you can get with all the dope producers at the same time. Like, to me, that's the only thing, that's the only blueprint that Illmatic, because when I'm thinking of blueprint, I'm thinking of like what comes next, like, are people trying to emulate that? So to me, the only thing that people really tried to emulate, even though the Youngsters, the Aftermath was really the first album to have, because they had the Big Cuts, they had Primo, they had P Rock, they had
Marley Marl was on there.
When Naughty was popping and Marley. So really, Aftermath was the first hip hop album that I know of that got all the best producers together at once, and it just blew with Illmatic. But when you say sets the blueprint, what do you think? Like, do you think people came after Illmatic trying to recreate an Illmatic?
No, not even from the production standpoint, but more so lyrically. Because like if you look at the rap albums prior to Nas from the East Coast, it was like, Onyx, even Buckshot, he was kind of like rowdy. They kind of, when they did the remixes the next year, he had the laid back flow.
Right.
So more so like the rap wise, like the lyrically, he just made Cat step it up.
Right. And Porsche, what about you? Why do you like Cuban Links over Illmatic?
Yeah, Nick said it. Cinematography for sure. I mean, Cuban Links is like it's like an audio movie. It's got a lot of elements going on, and it's got a lot like for just to engage the listener in so many different ways. And I think the dynamic and chemistry of Ray and Ghost is just perfect. And I think that they were perfect for the way that, like monikers and this Gambino thing and the mafioso raps. And I mean, Nas tried to replicate that sort of with The Firm, but it didn't really, he wasn't able to do it as successfully as others did. And I think Only Built for Cuban Links had had something to do with that.
Right. All right. Vince, what about you? From these years, what's the most important album, MC, and group?
Well, the most important album, I'm sticking with Pete and CL. I'm going with that Mac and the Soul Brother. That's the most important album. The group, I mean, you can't deny Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang, you know, I'm the Vizza, so you know, I'm part of Wu-Tang. Part of Wu-Tang. But Wu-Tang, there's no way I couldn't see another group. Gangstar is a good pick because I love Gangstar myself. But as far as the whole, I mean, Wu-Tang is a movie. Yeah. Wu-Tang,
it was a movement.
There's nothing. It's like I don't know how to describe it. It's a movement. That's just
it's a movement. You're right.
Simple as that. Now MC, man, I'm picking Nas. I don't care what nobody says. I'm going with Nas. Now, as far as like Nas, Big, I like Big. I like Nas, but for me, I'll take Illmatic over the first Big joint. My favorite Big song period is "Give Me the Loot." That's it. If Big didn't come out with nothing else in his life and we still had "Give Me the Loot," I'm rolling with "Give Me the Loot." But I'm taking Nas and Illmatic over Big, over Jay, over anybody else. So that's it. Nas, the MC, Wu-Tang the group, and Pete and CL with that Mac and the Soul Brother. That's me.
All right, no doubt. It's crazy you got Pete and CL over Illmatic.
Yeah, oh man, I got Pete and CL over a lot of stuff. Illmatic, I can't. Man, Mac and the Soul Brother is a perfect album. The interludes are perfect. They ain't no, you know, they ain't doing all them stupid skits with talking and all that bullshit. He lays now a lot of those interludes. I would get mad like, damn, that should be a song or let that interlude.
Oh, don't say that around me. Yeah. Don't say that around me. Hey, you gotta be happy with what you did. You gotta be happy with what you did. You gotta be happy with that. So, nah, I feel you on that. And for me, I already said the Wu. For me, the album is The Chronic. I just think that I think that made everybody step their game up. You know what I mean? I want to say, was it Tribe? Was it Tip when he was talking about going into Make It Midnight? And he was just saying, like, you listen to The Chronic, it just made everybody like step their game up. You know, even with
what way though? Because that's exactly what people are saying about Illmatic.
Sonically,
like from the production standpoint,
right?
Like
the engineering of the album.
Yes, like when you play other people's tapes, it was cassettes back then. And you put Dre's in after that, like, God damn, it'd be like a fucking surround sound, just like everything coming out.
Yeah. I mean, that album.
So the Chronic on a production standpoint, on like an audio standpoint, only.
I mean, I think Chronic was across the board. I mean, like Nick said, I'll never forget. Back in the day when you had CD changes, like, you know, we was playing spades at my man's crib at Morgan, and one CD went off, and then I think Niggas for Life came on, and it just, everything got louder and bigger. It's like, yo, who turned this shit up? Like, yo, nobody turned this shit up. It was just great. But I think the Chronic was just everything. It was the production. It was this new MC Snoop, who we all like. It was like Deep Cover was like the little appetizer, and it was like, yo, who the fuck is that nigga? You know,
they're funny.
The interludes, like, oh my God, how many times did I have
Lee Farnsworth?
Yeah, you know, or these nuts, like how many? I can't tell you how many nuts jokes, you know, went around. And then the MC, just the whole crew of Rage, Corrupt, you know,
RBX.
RBX. So I think it was just a combination of just everything. From here are all these new people that we didn't know shit about, because last time we heard from Dre was NWA, and in comes all these new people. The album was just crazy. And on top of that, it was just the weed shit too. And then it was also the visuals. When you see the Not But a G Thing video, like that video was everywhere. You know, the Dre Day, you know, making fun of Easy and them, you know. So I think what Tip was just saying was like everybody was blasting the Chronic. You know, there was a time on the East Coast where it was like, fuck them West Coast niggas. You couldn't say that with the Chronic. You know, so I think it just made everybody step up their game and say, okay, we got to come with something on this level, or, you know, we going to kind of be lost in the sauce because everybody's still going to be banging the Chronic. And then Big, like Porsche said, just for him and Puff's blueprint. You know, people can say it's Puff's blueprint, but like I'll tell people, like, and Rec, you'll know this from basketball. You can take Mike D'Antonio's system from Phoenix and try to run it in New York, but if you don't have the horses that can run it, it ain't gonna work. You know what I mean? So it could have been Puff's blueprint to say, okay, we gonna do an R&B, we gonna do what was that first shit? You know,
Puff joint, talking about like Mary and shit.
Juicy. You could do Juicy, but then we also gonna give you Unbelievable, or we gonna give you, you know, the big. We gonna do Big Papa, but then we gonna also hit you with the Warning video. You know, right. And that's the blueprint that so many people tried to do. That's what Jay tried to do on his second album that he failed miserably.
Yes.
Yes. He started with Blackstreet and fucking Foxy Brown and
Babyface.
You know, and so it was a blueprint Nas tried with that "Owe Me Back" with Genuine. And it was a game plan, but everybody couldn't do the game plan like Big. You know, to me, Big was just every man's MC. He seemed cool as shit to hang with. You know what I mean? Like, to me, Jay looks like an asshole. He may be a great guy to hang around with.
He does look like an asshole. I agree
with that. I feel like if you sitting courtside at a game with Big, that may be the funnest day of your life. You know, we're sitting with Jay, you be like, yo, I'm on fucking punishment. Like, this nigga don't say shit, you know. So I just felt like Big was like, everybody loved Big. You know, women love Big. And this nigga was big and black and ugly, like he said, you know. So I just think, you know, the MC for me is definitely Big. So now here's a question. I just thought of this, so y'all may not know offhand, but I realized this with Jay. For years, I'd always say, yo, my favorite Jay album, Reasonable Doubt, Reasonable Doubt, Reasonable Doubt. But every time I go to listen to some Jay, I pull out American Gangster. You know what I mean? Do you find like some of these albums that y'all are naming, do y'all still pull them out as much, or have you seen like you reach for other things? Like if you're in the mood for Nas, do you pull out Illmatic still? You know, of course, with Ray, you gotta pull out Only Built
for Cuban Links. Yeah,
he can't really give you shit else, but Only Built for Cuban Links too. So, but like Ray, do you find yourself pulling out? I mean, it's true. Like, it's not like Ray got a huge discography. I'll pull out Cuban Links. I'll pull out Clarity. You know, that's the shit.
I like The Wild. The Wild is a tough album. But yeah, so like from this era, I still go back to these albums, man. Resurrection is in my title playlist. OC Word Life, I keep that. I actually even went back to the Craig Mack Project Funk the World after he passed, just to kind of give it a listen. And I was like, yo, this drum was all right. It kind of got slept on. I don't listen to Illmatic as much as most people, you know, praise it and all this other stuff. But these albums are albums that I still, you know, listen to on I don't want to say a daily basis, but these albums are in my rotation. Okay. You know, I'm gonna listen to something new, but after that, I might go to, you know, a Compton's Most Wanted album, or, you know, Lord Finesse Return to the Funky Man. Like, I still go to these albums.
All right, no doubt. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, same. Like, if I want to hear Wu, I'm grabbing Wu-Tang Forever. I want to hear Nas, I'm grabbing It Was Written. But you know, an album I go back to a lot is the Beatnuts self-titled.
Yeah,
I go back to that one.
I love that. That's the album that really made me want to produce. Like all the other shit, you know, definitely planted seeds, but that album that summer, that's when I went back to Morgan the next year. Like, yo, fuck, I don't care what I got to do. I'm getting some equipment. Yeah, to me, that's a very slept-on album. What about you, Porsche?
Yeah, I mean, I go back to them. I haven't listened to Illmatic in God knows how long. I like, that's just not an album that's on my radar, and I don't know. I appreciate its greatness. I recognize it as a classic. It's definitely 5 mics, but it's just not one that I go to. I'm in Nas's catalog. I listen to It Was Written in Stillmatic all the time. And then as far as Jay, it's always Reasonable Doubt, American Gangster for sure. And then, yeah, Big Ready to Die is just always on rotation with me. So yeah, I do go back to all these albums.
Right.
But I'm also 36 Chambers over Wu Forever. I didn't love Wu-Tang Forever. Right. I did think it was great, but it's not 36 Chambers. I don't know how Nick prefers Wu-Tang Forever over 36 Chambers.
Oh yeah, more to choose from.
I'm
more to choose from. Ghostface was way better. Come on, man.
And see, I'm with you, Porsche. It was more to choose from. There was more shit that I didn't like. That's the only problem. More to
yeah, like I just feel like it's a double album. It's just I don't know. It's got fillers just like I'm not a fan of the double albums in hip hop. I don't know. Even Pac's a double. Full of fillers.
Pac's was a filler.
Yo, it's funny because when it's funny because I was always primo, and I was like, yo, this Wu-Tang forever. Yo, RZA may take Knock Primo out. That nigga ain't Knock Primo out, in my opinion.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, that album just didn't have the oomph. I remember reading about the making of it, how RZA was like, yo, we had to fly everybody out to LA because niggas was on their bullshit. The first album. But it's like that with hip-hop. Like, when you're coming up and the only thing you have is hip-hop, then you're all there. You can't wait to get studio time. You can't wait. You turning down women calling you like, nah, I gotta get in the studio. Then after that, when all these niggas became stars, now RZA like, I can't even get y'all niggas in the same studio. Or, Ray was saying like back in the day, we'd all help. Like you do your verse, you just jet now. So I think RZA like recorded it in LA or somewhere where he was like, can't nobody go nowhere. But I mean, it's not a bad album. I just don't prefer it to 36.
Yeah, it's a good album. But I mean, yeah, I will never go to Wu-Tang Forever over 36 Chambers at all, ever. Like, ever.
I will.
So, yes.
In the comment sections, I'm getting over 36 Chambers.
No doubt. What I love about y'all is y'all honesty, because every time I talk about Illmatic with somebody, they're like, I just listened to it right before the fucking show. And I'm like, nigga, no the fuck you did. That's why I'm arguing with somebody about it. I'll be like, yo, my nigga, I just listened to it. And I'm like, no, my nigga, you didn't. Just stop lying. Like, yo, I can't even tell you the last time I pulled out Illmatic.
I'll argue forever that Illmatic's a classic, and I get that it is, but I really don't ever go back to it. I should probably go back to it way more than I do.
Yeah. No, you good. You don't have to.
Yeah, I don't have to, but I should.
Vince, what about you? Do you still pull out, the same albums from this era?
I always listen to Mecca and the Soul Brother. Main Ingredient, always on that.
Main Ingredient was solid.
The last time I listened to Illmatic was before we did the book about Illmatic, so I listened to it fairly recently. But man, all those joints, J. Rue, I'm always listening to J. Rue's first album.
Oh yeah, I was just cutting up the bitches last night, a couple nights ago.
Yeah, I'm listening to all of those. Road to the Riches, G-Rap, a lot of that stuff, man. I'm always going back.
All right, no doubt. I just asked because, like I said, there's so many times I'm like, oh, this album is, and it makes me think, damn, is Reasonable Doubt, for me at least, really better than American Gangster? Because if it was, wouldn't I be pulling that when I'm in the mood to listen to some Jay? You know what I mean? Or, I may think Boomerang is my favorite Eddie Murphy movie, but whenever I want Eddie, I go to Trading Places. You know what I mean? So it just makes me kind of realign, like, damn, maybe for me, at least American Gangster is better than Reasonable Doubt, because that's what I always reach for more. Because like I think Nick said, the source really, he wasn't lying. When it was the Bible, it was the Bible.
And it got 4 mics. I'm like, I need that.
Right.
Yeah.
It was the Bible.
Yeah.
All right, no doubt. Dope show. Right. Give them all your information, man.
Oh man. IG is at Worldwide Rec 1. Twitter is at DJ Rec 1. SoundCloud is give me 2 seconds, I'll tell you right now. SoundCloud is soundcloud.com/JRec1.
All right, no doubt. Nick, give them all the stuff.
You already know the routine. And Twitter.
Of course.
Get that being coming.
At Cherche La Porsche on Twitter and IG.
All right.
Routine forever.
Yo, you gonna try and get that Wu album that dude brought or whatever?
What?
The dude that brought like that.
Oh, the rich guy, yeah.
Oh,
the Martin Shkreli or Shkreli or whatever.
Yeah, he had to put it up.
$1 billion album.
I will say,
I can't believe the RZA actually stole that. RZA is an idiot for that.
I'll say this: the funny thing about the is, like y'all said, it's a movement because people are still waiting on a new Wu album. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, I've given up hope so many years ago. Like, RZA has obviously moved on to bigger and better with doing films. True Mathematics, Eighth Disciple, Mathematic Alive, and all them other niggas. ain't coming with them same type of beats. So it's just like, you know, I really don't need another Wu album. Like, you know, even the one that cost $1 million, I'd really be hard pressed to see if it was really a dope album. You know what I mean? And I think that's cool. Everybody can't last forever. You know what I mean? Like, again, not on Wu, but it's just, I mean, everybody can't.
Well, they just came out with The Saga Continues, right?
But then
but I personally don't consider it a Wu-Tang album.
Right.
But,
right. I mean, when Redman is featured on like 5 songs, I'm like, oh,
yeah, they had to make him an honorary member just to get an album.
That's my
Red's dropping an album soon. This should be good.
I'm praying it'll be good. But I think how you define a group. So for me, Wu-Tang has to be produced by RZA. You know what I mean? Like Black Moon has to be produced by the Beatminers. You can't call a Black Moon album and it's produced by Ninth Wonder. Like that's not a Black Moon album. That's why even with that album, it was like if RZA didn't do the beats, you know, if RZA don't have that heat no more, then there's no more Wu-Tang to me.
That's
you know,
right.
You want to call it something else, but it's like 3000. Like Outkast can't become fucking Killer Mike and Big Boy because 3000 don't want to rap no more. You know what I mean? So you'd have to come up with a whole new name for that. You know, so that would be my thing. Vince, give them all your stuff, good brother.
WillWorkForBeats.com, Dome.com, Hip Hop Now Podcast. Once upon a time in hip hop.
That's what's up.
No doubt. You already know what it is with me. Kill889 on Twitter and IG. Check out my man Manhattan Mayor. We got an EP out right now called Killing Myself. We working on the album. It's real dope. So check that out. We'll make beats for food.com. I'll check y'all next week, y'all.
All right.